Welcome to Tuning Your Violin. This is one of the first lessons, and unfortunately, to be honest, it's one of the more difficult lessons. So let's talk about a few things first. If you have a phone or access to a phone, my advice is get yourself a tuning app. This is a free app that I got on the App Store. And you can see it's got a little needle, tells you what pitch you're playing. So if I play you can see it's reading G. You can see the needles in the middle, close to 0. So it turns out to be able to tune one of these, you need to know a few things. First, it's helpful to have a sense of pitch. Second, you need to know what the strings are named. And this is a G, this is a D, this is an A, this is an E. In this case, this instrument is pretty close to being in tune. And I'm pretty lucky that way because I don't have to start from scratch. The G is the G below middle C. So if you can find middle C on a keyboard or a keyboard app, because again, that's a good thing to start with. Middle C, C, B, A, G. So G3. And then up a perfect fifth to D. Second string here, D. Next string, A. Top string, E. Out in Australian say hello. They say good day. G, G, D, A, E. Good day. G, D, A, E. Good day, mate. So that'll help you remember the names of the strings. But in this age of virtual lessons, how do we approach the instrument? How do we get the thing tuned? And the answer is, well, it depends how badly out of tune it is. So we're going to do a few scenarios based on how out of tune it is. So right now, it's very close to in tune. So if I take my bow and I excite the string and I play, it's hanging just a tiny bit under, but close enough that I probably could live with it. And now I'm just a tiny bit over. And again, these are the kinds of things you want to be on pitch. But if you're near that 0, you're going to be okay. You go to the next string. Now, this is an example where the instrument's very close to being in tune. So now I'm going to take these fine tuners here and I'm going to mess with them. So I'm going to loosen them a fair amount. It turns out usually strings don't go up, they tend to go down. That's the nature of the physical universe that we live in. So right now I have a fairly out of tune violin. And I'm like, oh dear. And you can see it says F. Well, maybe you're lucky and you can see it says F, but what do you do when it's really out? So here we go. There's my G. I'm going to make it so this thing is severely out of tune. Maybe we left it in a cold car and the wood shrank and the tuning peg did that. So now it's not even making a noise. And we're like, how do you find what note? And the answer is, well, there's a couple of things here. These tuning pegs are held in by friction, and that friction is controlled by how hard you push the pin in. So sometimes if the pins are slipping, you want to push a little bit as you're turning, and you want to turn it in a counterclockwise direction on these pegs right here for the lower strings. And I'm like, gee, where is that? So I have a note now. I can hear it. And it says D. It says C. It's pretty close to a D. But I can hear. So I'm going to go up gently. Now I'm close to an F. Still pretty out. I'm going to tune up a little more. F sharp is getting very close. It's just underneath G. And then I get to G. And I'm playing the G. And at this point I might pick up my bow so I can get a more accurate representation. And you can see the needle hanging a little low. I'll take my fine tuner, overshot just a little bit. Now, the G is in tune. Does that mean it's going to stay in tune? Good question. It depends on the tension of these other strings, because as we tune this instrument, the tension on the neck and the fingerboard is going to increase, which is going to change the entire system. So that G that you just tuned may drift a little. It probably won't be way out, but it may drift just a little. So let's try and get up to that next note. And I say G, and I go to D. Star Wars, Star Wars. Ooh, Devil's Interval. The tritone, the even distribution of the octave. It's halfway up the octave. It's genuinely the most tense sound in music. It's right up there with the minor second, the tritone. Boo. So we want to go up a half step. Now a half step might be doable with a tuner. So when I look at this, C sharp, and I need to get it to D. I might be able to get out of my fine tuner depending on how much of my fine tuner I've used. Let's assume, in this case, that I've used most of it. In that case, I would go over here to my tuning peg, and I would, again, gently push in, holding against the neck, and tune it just a little. And now I'm pretty darn close. I'm kind of in between the cracks there. So now I'm going to start. Pretty close. So we can live with the D. All right. Let's get on to the A. G'day. G'day. G-D-A-E. Oh dear. Again, we have that tritone sound. Let's say for argument that the A was completely out. So I'll take it out, and now you can see that the string is completely loose. Again, how do you get this thing started? You push in gently. As you push in gently, you're going to... I got a pitch. It says B3. Well, I'm looking for A4, so it turns out I'm almost an octave out, because B3, well, A3 would be an octave below A4. It would be here. A3, A4. So right now I'm here, more or less. So I want to probably use my tuning pegs to bring me up a little higher. It says D4. Okay. D4 is getting close. I'm out of fifth though. And that's a pretty big jump. Hard to get that out of a fine tuner, so I'm going to use my pegs a little more. Went up about a minor third. I'm on an F. It says F sharp. It says A flat. Okay, now that I'm close, I'm on A flat. I'm going to listen to my pitch again. Tuning my fine tuner. And now I'll take my bow and see if I'm close. Overshot just a little bit. Pull it back down. Dead on. Tiny bit over, but probably that was me with the bow. And you can see the G is now a little low, so I'll pull the G up a little bit. So, with that in mind, let's continue on. And, ooh, my goodness gracious. It says E flat. Well, E flat's pretty close to E. You know, we've got an E5 is what we're looking for, and right now we've got an E flat 5, which is pretty darn close, so let's see if we can get that out of our fine tuner. Now, if it turns out that our fine tuner is already in all the way, first thing you do is unravel it. So you would take it counterclockwise and bring it out so you have some room to travel. In this case, my tuner's already out, so I'll... But let's say for argument's sake, I just couldn't get there. Again, I'll take my tuner back out, which will lower the note, and then I'm going to tune it up here. Get close. Now that I'm close, and I'll check it with my bow one more time. Pretty close, smidge under. So there you have it. It's actually one of these things that the more you do it, the easier it gets. The first few times you try it, it's not the easiest thing. So we'll see you soon in our next lesson where we start learning about the fingerboard. Thanks for coming.